You're about to uncover a truth most people can't handle. That every attempt to make money inside this system comes with an invisible tax. Your inner peace. Not because money is evil, but because money has been reprogrammed to be your new religion, your voluntary prison, your symbolic master. And the more you chase it, the tighter it wraps around your soul, whispering promises it never intends to keep. But money is neutral, they say. Is it? Then why does every financial win come with an emotional collapse? Your health crumbles. Your relationships rot. Your brain won't shut up. This so-called neutrality is a pretty lie. Modern money isn't a tool, it's a spell. And those who don't understand that become emotional slaves to numbers that never add up. Everyone's hustling. Everyone's grinding. Everyone wants financial freedom, but no one's sleeping. No one's breathing. No one feels safe. Because the system doesn't want you rested. It wants you addicted. Addicted to goals, growth, noise, and speed. And every new goal births a new debt. Financial, emotional, or spiritual. You want peace? Then track where it was hijacked. And here's the brutal truth. Your peace was traded the moment you swore to get rich at any cost. I swore that too. I had fire in my eyes and dead in my bones. And when I finally got the money, I realized I'd already lost everything that made me human. This isn't about quitting the game. It's about refusing to sell your soul to win it. So ask yourself, what costs more? Your lack of money, or the way you're trying to earn it? That's the one question the system can't afford you to ask, because it tears down the entire dopamine and scarcity machine that keeps you running. Maybe you think it's the work that drains you, the long hours, the hustle. But hear this, it's not the labor that breaks you, and it's the theater, the constant performance of being in control. The real burnout isn't physical, it's emotional. You play the role of the tireless worker, the visionary founder, the financial warrior. But inside, you're collapsing. Because keeping that act alive costs your truth. And no one survives long while betraying their truth. Think back over the past 48 hours. How many times did you fantasize about a future where everything's finally done? When that payment lands, when that contract closes, when the money finally hits. That future became your drug. A symbolic narcotic that makes the miserable present more bearable. But here's the setup. That future never arrives. It's a mirage created by the system, a psychological placebo to keep you grinding with your soul in overdraft. And here's the cruelest twist. Even when the money comes, the emptiness stays. Because it was never about the money. It was about the pain you were trying to silence with it. The system sells money as relief, but delivers anxiety. Sells growth, but delivers exhaustion. Sells freedom, but delivers deeper dependency. Emotional, social, chemical. With every financial gain, you trigger a deeper debt. The need to convince yourself it was worth it. Here's your disarming truth. You'll never feel peace if your method of earning money is rooted in self-abuse dressed up as discipline. The vigilance you need isn't financial, it's emotional. Ask yourself before every deal, every goal, every opportunity, am I doing this from vision or from escape? That one question cuts through 80% of emotional traps disguised as success. No one told you this system was designed like a treadmill, an infinite race where the goals keep shifting, and the finish line is always replaced by a new demand, a new comparison, a new crisis. It doesn't matter how much you earn. The system is rigged to make you feel inadequate on purpose. Because a peaceful mind doesn't consume, doesn't panic buy, doesn't self-medicate with distractions. And that threatens a market built entirely on emotional instability. That's why even after a raise, a deal, a big win, the emptiness returns. It's not ungratefulness, it's programming. You've been trained to want what you don't have and ignore what you do. That's the core mechanic of addiction. The problem was never your income. The problem is that you were never taught how to stop, how to rest, how to feel whole without buying the feeling. Every ad, every ping, every feed, every product launch, it's psychological warfare, not designed to inform but to destabilize. The algorithm isn't just content, it's a weapon. It measures your fear, your envy, your loneliness, then feeds you the perfect trigger, just enough to make you feel less, just enough to make you spend. And then, surprise. A product, a guru, a course to fill the exact hole it just carved. You need a symbolic trench, a sacred line, a moment where you declare, I will not cross this line, not even for money. Because if everything has a price, then your peace must have a value that can't be bought. What you tolerate in the name of profit today will turn into trauma tomorrow. And what you sacrifice now, health, time, soul, will return to you, wrapped in invisible interest. What if I told you it's not the money itself that destroys your peace, but the identity you're forced to adopt to get it? Think about the roles you've played. The overly agreeable one, the hustle harder type, the one who swallows disrespect with a smile. Every dollar deposited comes attached to a small internal funeral. Because the system doesn't just want your time, it wants your persona, your tone, your ethics, your soul, dressed for sale. That's why the higher you climb, the more you feel like a stranger to yourself. You function, you win, but something essential gets amputated along the way. Performance costs wholeness, and the more fragmented you become, the more addicted you get to external validation, to numbers, likes, wins. The system engineered it that way. Real success now requires emotional disconnection, and failure becomes the only place left where you still feel something real. Profit has become the new morality. If it's profitable, it must be right. But that's the logic of panic, not wisdom. What good is more money if your Sundays are hijacked by unread emails, and your downtime is poisoned by guilt? The system doesn't want you broken. It wants you functionally dissatisfied. Broken people don't produce, but dissatisfied people, they produce double, chasing a wholeness that the system ensures they never reach. You need to reclaim the sacred right to exist without producing, without proving, without monetizing every breath. Do this. For the next 3 days, pick one act per day that serves no purpose in the system's eyes. Wander aimlessly. Cook something without posting. Sit on the ground, watch time pass. These are your micro-rebellions. Rituals that rewire your brain to remember, peace isn't unproductive, it's untouchable. You were programmed to believe that money equals freedom, but that's the biggest emotional scam of modern capitalism. Money only frees those who are already free on the inside. For everyone else, it just upgrades the prison. Scarcity becomes pressure. Poverty becomes anxiety. The cage changes shape, but it still locks your mind in fear. What if I lose it? What if it's not enough? What if they find out I'm not who they think I am? What nobody tells you is this: when money becomes the end instead of the means, you lose your internal compass. You stop moving from purpose and start reacting from panic. Every decision becomes a calculation. Every relationship a transaction. Every idea a product. You're not living, you're optimizing. The system doesn't want you thinking with your heart. It wants you thinking in KPIs, ROI, LTVs. This is the new emotional illiteracy, knowing everything about the market and nothing about yourself. That's the point where peace becomes impossible. Because peace requires presence. Presence requires integrity. And integrity demands saying no. But you were trained to say yes to every shiny thing that looks like opportunity, even if it costs your health, your truth, your soul. The freedom sold in ads is a mirage designed to keep you producing. Real freedom? It's too dangerous, because it breaks the cycle. Here's your mental weapon. Create a non-negotiable financial boundary, a value you will not violate no matter how much money is offered. Maybe it's not working Sundays, not lying for profit, not accepting clients who drain your soul. This becomes your anchor in chaos. Because in the end, the one with principles isn't controlled by profit, and the one who can't be controlled terrifies the system. You came here looking for answers, but what you found was a mirror. And maybe it stings, because the reflection isn't of a winner, but a well-dressed prisoner, chained to goals, metrics, and fears with fancy names. But here's the secret the system desperately hides. Peace cannot be bought, earned, or deserved. Peace must be claimed, taken, guarded with teeth and silence. And it begins the moment you stop trading your sacred pieces for a freedom that never arrives. Money is useful, but never neutral. It takes the shape of your hunger. If you're at war inside, it becomes a weapon. If you're whole, it becomes a bridge. Money reflects. And the most dangerous reflection is the soul pretending to win while secretly bleeding. Enough pretending, enough smiling through gritted teeth. A win without peace is just another defeat in disguise. Any goal that requires your fragmentation is not growth. It's modern slavery with a golden badge. You think you're making progress, but deep down you know, the system is still running you. This video is not about quitting money. It's about reclaiming your mind from the symbolic architecture that turns money into a god. The map of occult reprogramming is not another technique. It's a psychological weapon. To unwrite the script, reinstall your original awareness and operate outside the loop. The ritual begins now. Over the next 72 hours, write down your 3 non-negotiables, the lines you will not cross, no matter the money. And with every decision, repeat, if it cost me my peace, it's already too expensive. This isn't just a phrase. It's your trench, your weapon against programming, your first psychic rebellion against the cult of currency. Because in the end, peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of purpose. And that can't be bought. Drop your first non-negotiable in the comments. Share this with someone losing their soul for a paycheck. And if this felt like an attack, maybe it was a wake-up call. Join the resistance. This war isn't against money, it's against conditioning.